Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
We need to talk about your website and how it's costing you money. I can understand as an internet explorer that you are, you have a website which is a given. But when was the last time you actually took a look at it? And when was the last time you actually went through it and looked at the user experience and looked at the journey that you're taking your customer on? And also just really looked at the story that you are telling your customers about who you are and what it is that you provide, and generally what problems you are solving. So if you have been following our podcast, you would notice that we are now on season 4, and this is episode number 4 of 4. And in the last episodes, I have been taking this initiative to actually help any business owner that's struggling to stay on plan with their marketing, especially now that we've gone past the halfway mark, and a lot of people have not even achieved things that they set out to for at the beginning of the year. So if you notice, episode number 2, I was asking you if you're still on track to meet your goals this year, and the responses that I got from a lot of people were that no, this year was the only year that things started to sort of open up after a lull that they experienced in the last couple of years. So I took it upon myself to give you 5 episodes in a series so that we start off, season 4, so that we can really restart, recharge, and revive our marketing starting right now. And in episode number 3, I actually introduced you to a concept of clarifying your message. And in that episode, we talk about how when you identify your message, it makes it super easy for you to actually reach out to your audience, because they refer to their problems in a totally different way than we offer solutions to them. And a lot of coaches, consultants, and small to medium business owners out there generally start off with the solutions that they provide, whereas our prospect problems are looking to solve problems. And once they find somebody who can help them do that, definitely they will patronize their business. So go to episode number 3 if you haven't checked it out and see how I explain about clarifying your message. And today I want to tackle where to place that message. Okay, I'm tackling the must-haves that you should have on your website. Okay, so when you have a message, that message needs to be sitting on a platform. Where is it that you're telling your story? And so in this episode, we're going to be going through the 7 elements that the non-negotiable 7 elements that every small business website should possess. Okay, so the first thing that you need to really understand is the actual purpose of having a website. And before I can talk about the necessary elements of your website specifically, I really need to address having that website and the actual purpose of it. Gone are the days where your website just was some sort of digital brochure for your company, where you just, spell out your about us or maybe the services that you provide. A website today now has so many jobs. It has become the storefront where people can actually book services and calls with you, buy your products, and actually, get the information that they are looking for. So if your website is just a glorified brochure out there. I want you to really pay attention to this, podcast in particular. Bookmark it, subscribe to the Online Prosperity Experience, because information like this, you might just take it for granted, but it can actually be, the one thing that would actually help your business get profitable and enjoyable. So one thing that your website should be doing right now should be basically a representation of who you are, and make it easy for you to get found on the internet. Now, the internet is driven by communities, it's driven by content, and it's driven by conversations. And if you are not curating that community, in your own little corner of the internet, then you're probably helping other people build their platforms. I was talking yesterday in the podcast where a lot of people are just building on Facebook, and if you get shut out of Facebook, you've lost all that stuff that you're building. So you need to be creating your own platform where you can get found, and that website should actually be optimized for search engines in order for people to actually find you online. And once people have found you, you need to build trust with them immediately, because as you would understand, each and every one of the people that comes to our website only has, say, a 5-second attention span, if at all they have that long, So you need to instantly build trust and let them know what it is that you can do for them, especially what problems you solve for them. Because half of the time we think that people already know the solutions that are out there. They don't. What they are acutely aware of is their own problems. So you need to instantly build trust, because your website is a key element to building trust. Wherever these people are coming from, they don't trust just about anybody just because you've got a website. So once a person arrives on your website, they need to instantly be connected with what you're doing, instantly have a few of their questions answered, and your website needs to validate their challenges. Okay, if you're not doing that within the first 3 seconds, then they're just going to scroll away. So your website needs to function the way your customers need it and actually expect it to. If somebody is approaching your website using mobile phones, then your website has to give them the user experience that actually means your website is mobile compatible. And once people are on there, we should never forget that people are not just coming to the internet to find out what's new about your business. They are coming to have their problems solved. And in order for them to have their problems solved, they need to be aware, first of all, on how to actually explain what they're going through, and eventually make an informed decision whether to use your solutions or not. So your website needs to educate your audience on what to want or on what to aspire for. Your website should teach people how to recognize what their problems and challenges are. And if you are giving people that information or educating them on so that they have an in-depth awareness of their problem and the solutions that can be provided, then they get to know, like, and trust you. And we all know that people do business with those they know, like, and trust. So this is also the position and the time for you to actually inform your audience on what's available. Because once somebody has found you and they now trust you, you need to inform them on how you can actually solve their problems. All right. And if you can articulate somebody's problems more than they can themselves, then they automatically assume you've got the solution to their problems. So your website needs to be acting in all these fronts in order for you to actually capture these leads, turn them into clients that actually pay, stay, and refer. All right. And talking about paying, staying, and referring, you need to make sure that your website is, has a baked nurturing system within it. Okay. Because a lot of times, people need to come back to your website, more than once in order for them to actually get that information that they're looking for, or to make a purchase. All right, so you want to maybe capture their email address and then continue to create valuable content that is relevant to whatever stage they are on their customer journey, and nurture them up until they make a purchase. All right. Sometimes it takes up to 13 times for somebody to actually grasp, the need of a certain solution, and for them to actually be aware of the problem that they're going through. And if you are the person that's providing them that information along the way, you're definitely creating that pathway and that customer journey that will then entail people to actually buy from you in the end. That's the only way that they can reciprocate, the value that you're giving to them. And by reciprocate, they're giving you their credit card. So your website should also be in a position to convert those, wanderers and turn them into customers that pay, stay, and actually refer. Okay, so a conversion can be many things. Maybe people can subscribe to your newsletter. Maybe people can pick up the phone and call you immediately from your website, or maybe actually make a purchase on your site. So conversion opportunities need to be, an element of the design of what your homepage, is bringing to the table, just to guide your customer along the journey. So at any given moment, 3% of the people are in the market for whatever solutions that you are offering based on the problems that they have. But the rest of the people, let's say 67%, are just generally looking for, to be more include with, the problems that they're facing, and then they get educated along the way, to what solutions are available for them. So if you're the person that's providing all that information, then you're taking people along that journey, which makes it easy for them to then convert and work with you. So you notice in today's world, the customer journey actually starts with researching online. Back in the time, people would just rock up at your shop, and then you'd have to actually sell them on what it is that you are offering. But people already coming to the internet to get information, and if your website is providing that information, then you start them on the journey, to become a client or a customer, eventually. All right, so people are coming to a conclusion on their own as to whether or not they're interested in buying from you way before you even realize that they're actually looking at the stuff that or maybe looking at the solutions that you're providing. So you need to make sure that you have a presence, especially in these early research stages, and actually you are available at each of the stages that they are, going through on their way to buying or to actually solving the problems that they face. And for you to keep people engaged, all right, you need to be telling a story and weaving in, whatever solutions, and having an acute understanding of what problems they're actually facing. All right. So one of the elements that your website should actually have is it should be able to immediately tell a story. All right. The main goal of your website that it should achieve is to be able to immediately tell a story. And then, once you've got that storytelling going, you are able to then position whatever solutions you have, in front of people. People don't care what you sell. They care what you can do for them. Okay, so what you may get wrong about maybe storytelling on your website is that the story is not about you. All right, it's never about you. It's about how you can help your potential customer solve whatever problems that they're going through right now. And the story must be the story your customers and prospects are telling themselves. How do they explain what they're going through, and how do they think it needs to be solved? That's the conversation you need to be a part of. If you remember when I mentioned that the internet just comprises of community, conversations, and content, all of these need to be showcased, especially within your website in order for people to actually start that journey of making a purchase with you. All right, so your customers need to see themselves in the story, which starts with their challenges that they're going through, whatever problems that they are facing right now, and the issues that they don't actually know how to solve. Because if they knew how to solve those problems, then they wouldn't need you, would they? All right, so the story that you're telling them is, obviously, you need to justify their failures. They've tried solving this problem by themselves, and because they didn't know of your existence, but now that they have arrived, show them that you can help them by actually helping them. All right, so you have to immediately let your website visitors see that you know what they're struggling with, and that there's a good chance that you actually know how to solve it. Because once you know what it is that they're going through, automatically you would have a solution for them, and you would have made their lives a whole lot better, because customers are always seeking for the pleasure that then comes along with having their problems solved. And maybe some of these problems actually keeping them up at night. All right, so you can imagine if you actually give somebody peace of mind and actually give somebody a sense of belonging, or a sense of connection, or a sense of being valued, they definitely would go along with you on that journey up until they make a purchase. But it's not going to be an immediate purchase. That's why all these elements have to be working alongside with your website. Right now, obviously, you're just listening. I encourage you to open up our website, www.livelongdigital.com.au, and just see how we have outlined, even if you just go to, say, the homepage there, you know what I mean? We are already calling out the people that we want to work with. We're already telling them we understand the problems that they're going through, and we are already giving them the promise on how we will be delivering this promise that we are saying to them. And if you notice, there's instances like the parts that say discover the step-by-step framework. All of those are opportunities for somebody to leave their details so that we can collect a lead. All right, each and every segment within our website is an opportunity for somebody to leave their details with us so that we can follow with them and guide them on a journey up until they actually have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. So I want you to maybe take a look at how we have structured the website and how it's so engaging with all these numerous concepts and aspects of how we work with our clients, and also showcasing the community that we have around the brand already. Okay, and then just see if you have any of these elements being showcased on your website. So like I was saying, when somebody is on their way to go somewhere, they have a problem, they've got challenges, they've got issues, they are on the way to finding a solution for them. You want to guide them along the way, just so that they're not going to have false starts or use solutions that are not going to be working for them, because nobody wants to waste time. So your website must actually be that landmark, or that shining armor that somebody follows through, or the lighthouse, so to speak, where all the ships are coming to to dock and not and come to land. Okay, so your website must actually guide your prospects through the whole buying journey and the buying process, and you want to help them decide how they should move forward. What is the next logical step from when somebody maybe reads your blog? Where else do you want to lead them to? What is the next logical step? And if you can guide people along the way so that they don't have to do as much thinking as to how to actually get the most out of the solution, you, my friend, would have created a customer and a loyal fan within your business. That person is definitely going to convert, and they will pay, stay, and definitely refer. Okay, so you need to help them decide what the next logical step is, and you need to maybe cover everything that they might need to follow. But I also want to be very careful how I say this, because you don't necessarily have to outline everything that you do on your homepage, but you need to at least have some sort of a guide so that your visitor knows what the next logical step is. And then you want to ask yourself, what is it that you want the website visitor to do when they're on your homepage? With us, if you turn back again to livelongdigital.com.au, the homepage, we just want somebody to either leave their email address with us so that we can communicate with them further, or we want them to subscribe to this podcast just so that they get this sort of information, and it can then nudge them along the journey that they are going in order to maybe start generating hundreds of qualified leads without having to resort to cold calling or cold emailing. All right. So on your website, what is the next logical step? What actions and what are the next steps that somebody should take in order to find the solutions that they're looking for? And when you think of guiding people through your website, the design is just a natural element that you need to consider, all right? And you also need to remember that SEO, content, strategy need to be done in parallel to the design. Yes, if your website is nice and sleek and it's a whiz-bang site, but it doesn't have the right content or it doesn't have the right SEO components, nobody's going to be able to find it, all right? So you literally need to bake all of those elements inside of it. So you want to check if that is present within your business. And in fact, many believe that web design should revolve around SEO rather than the other way around. And I believe that because I want you to understand that SEO, even though it means search engine optimization, it actually should mean something different to you, which is simply educating others, okay? So you are simply educating others on how you solve the challenges that they have, and you're introducing them to the solutions that, can actually help them sleep better at night. All right. So obviously these are the must-have elements, that you should weave within your business website. Just make sure that each and every one of them is actually, on brand and is actually helping your customer figure out or make sense of the world around them. Okay. So obviously, you might not realize that these things that I've given you are the actual things that a lot of websites are lacking, but maybe you're thinking, there must be some really meatier elements. Okay, so let me give you a few that might actually then give you, the impression that, you've spent 22 minutes getting value, all right? See, I keep referring you back to our homepage because the homepage is often the prospect's first impression of your website, all right? So if long scrolling pages are, the expectation these days. So think of what elements that you can bring into the journey. If somebody can scroll all the way to the bottom in one scroll, they don't assume you've got a lot to offer, okay? Because people are sitting on their phones and they've just been scrolling through a news feed and then they just so happen to come across your website. So that also bakes the positioning into your site. So just have a look at how many times somebody has to scroll all the way to the bottom. Sometimes people don't necessarily read, but if they notice that you have been generous enough with information, with content, and with just about everything else, then that gives them at the back of their head that, oh wow, at least maybe if somebody has taken the time to put out this value, there must be something in there that might be of help to me, all right? But I want to urge you not to try and cram it all, maybe above the fold. Just let people get further and further as they scroll, because it's that dopamine that just helps them, get into that discovery mode. Oh, wait, there's more. Oh, wait, there's more. Oh, wait, there's more. You know what I mean? And you be just adding few elements that will just really showcase, your credibility as somebody scrolls through, all right? So for people to get the most out of their visit, just consider implementing a few of these elements into your, website. The first thing is obviously a promise, okay? What are you actually going to deliver? All right. And, like what we worked in the previous podcast, episode number 3 about your your message. All right. Listen, really, you need to understand what it is that you are offering and what it is that you are solving, because the purpose of the promise, especially the headline, anything that's above the fold on your homepage, is actually to show the visitor that you understand what they're going through, the challenges that they're facing, and you need to make them a promise that you will solve their problems. Okay, so when people come to us, they're looking to get clients. They want to make sure that the process is repeatable, and they want a step-by-step process which is easy to follow, that they can set and forget. So if you look at the promise on livelongdigital.com.au, we just go in with attract dream clients on repeat using our step-by-step digital marketing strategies. Automatically, we give them the promise and exactly what it is that they've been looking for and how we can solve their problem. Okay, so you know what I mean? This is a promise for an SEO company, and an SEO is confusing to a lot of people. So the promise that we make, just to make the phone ring and give you the dream clients that you're looking for, is a very strong start. So without even mentioning it, we're actually telling our customers that we will make the phone ring, which is what a lot of the people complain about. All right. And then after that, we are giving a call to action, which is discover the step-by-step framework that we mentioned, the step-by-step digital marketing strategies. Already we've intrigued them, and we're immediately giving them the call to action so that they can flood their sales pipeline with highly qualified leads, even if you're starting from nothing. That in and of itself will be, maybe it's too early for me to get the step-by-step framework. I don't quite know enough. We've already stood in their shoes with empathy and said, hey, even if you're starting from nothing, here's the call to action. So your call to action maybe could be a text or an image that actually prompts the visitor or the leads or customers to take a specific action. Your call to action should help guide people through to initiate the customer journey and advise them on what the next steps would be. So your call to action can be maybe they can request more information or schedule a consultation or to download a free report like what we have, which is the step-by-step framework. And please be checking out the livelongdigital.com so that you can see what I'm talking about and you've got a point of reference. Okay, so just make sure that it's relevant and it's useful. And then the days when people simply signed up to receive email from you are over, because people are bombarded and they're now protecting their email box, but people still want to be led to maybe useful activities and resources that get them closer to solving their problems. So if you have an innate understanding of what your customer is and how you can help them solve their problems, you, my friend, would be head and shoulders above anybody else who just says, hey, subscribe to our newsletter. And if you scroll a little bit deeper, you'll notice there's a video, on our website. Yes, there's pictures of me, but I've also added a video because video, captures, the person, it captures my voice, and it literally creates that know, like, and trust immediately. Okay. And a lot of businesses are beginning to feature video on their homepage, and it's for a good reason. All right. Video actually allows you to give people a real sense of maybe who you are and what you stand for, and let people hear your story. So it's a great way for you to produce content and actually engage your audience. They get to know, like, and trust you immediately. It doesn't have to be a lengthy piece, just enough to give them that information that they're looking for before they scroll any further. All right. So put this, as something that you actually have to do, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a fully done up video. All right. It's just a nice thing that you need to have, and it builds trust. Okay, so, trust is something that is lacking within the online space these days. And so you should also bake in trust elements within your business. If you notice on our page, we already are associating ourselves with RMIT. We're associating ourselves with Smart Company, Entrepreneur, all the recognized brands there, because you need to have elements that build trust on your homepage. I mean, whether there may be logos of maybe current customers or testimonials from your audience, just so that people notice that some people have trusted you with their work, okay? If you've got any accolades or anything that just positions you as the right kind of person with the right kind of solution that might help your customers. All right, so at the end of the day, and once you've done that, there's another thing that you need to also add onto your website. If you notice, we've got a blog section on our website, and the reason why we put that blog section is because blogs come with a date. So you need to show people that this is not a site that you've just set and forgotten about. You actually have recent content that is relevant to people. So your blog is the only place that you can constantly change content on there. It actually makes it super easy for people to get a whole lot of stuff that you're putting out there. All right, so there you have it. This is like a bit of a list of things that should just be on your website no matter what. Okay, these are the must-haves that your website should have. So while you're just having your coffee or just sitting down, please have a look at if your website has any of these components. All right, and today's assignment, I want you to make use of this information and see what are the missing elements on your homepage right now and create a plan to fix this. And if you have a problem with that, just reach out to us, livelongdigital.com.au. We would definitely help you, navigate the whole online space. All right. So if you are subscribed to the podcast, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, you've noticed, the quality of information that we disseminate. You definitely need to join, other internet explorers that are getting value content like this every single day. And tomorrow, which is going to be episode number 5, we're going to tackle your content plan. And it's how you generate leads today. Basically, we get paid in direct proportion to the value that you bring to the marketplace. But don't worry, I'm going to make it super, super easy for you. So if you need any more tips on how to grow your business, just please check out livelongdigital.com.au or just subscribe to this podcast wherever you are, Spotify, Apple, or you can also check us out on YouTube, just so you can create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. I can't wait to celebrate your success with you. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au